Hello, Mike Bass from Talk Bass. Mike Fred Bass here on YouTube. You can also look me up on Facebook, Micah Fredericks, M-I-K-A-F-R-E-D-E-R-I-C-K-S. Click like and like my little page. Made a couple of videos talking about some things, sound checking, compression, playing, blah blah blah, basses and other stuff. So what I'm going to talk about right now is some beginner choice stuff. I guess I don't really know how else how to put it. There was a thread on the Facebook page of Detroit bass players about, there was an interview with a local player, and there was also talking about gear and basses and stuff for beginners, and people gave their opinions and everything and whatnot. So got me thinking a little bit, just about gear for, you know, when you're starting off playing. And I'm going to assume that the person who's been starting off playing isn't a raw beginner who walked into his local music store or, heaven forbid, Guitar Center, picked up a bass off the wall, and you basically sat down and you're about 24 hours into this thing. Because some of this might not make sense to you right now. I'm going to assume you've been playing a little bit, maybe taking a couple lessons, or been just banging around your house, and you got a nice little amplifier of some sort, and you have some kind of bass of some sort. This is where I'm going to start. I've been playing since I was 16, 44 years old. Do the math, right? So I've amassed a little bit of experience playing basses that are different sound-wise, pickup-wise, wood combination-wise. I've played just about every manufacturer out there, especially high-end stuff to low-end stuff. But what I'm talking about is when somebody's just starting off playing bass. I personally think there's a couple things that a bass player should do. One, when you're a beginning bass player, I personally think that you should do your best, even though there are some monster choices in basses out there these days, do your best to acquire a passive instrument. And what I mean by passive, again, I'm assuming you've been playing a little bit, is one that does not have EQ built into the bass itself. Doesn't have a bass and treble on it and everything. This here is an old Fender. This thing has been around forever. This is a passive bass. It says Bartolini passive pickups in it. Bartolini pickups are probably about 25 years old. They can go with a preamp. But it is just your classic Fender. Volume, tone. I've done thousands of gigs with this bass. Literally thousands. It's a passive bass. There's no EQ on it. The reason I say start off with a passive instrument is it allows you to get away from reaching down and grabbing a knob and making things sound different. You don't really have much of a choice. You have to basically just turn the bass up, and you have a passive tone control, which kind of muffles the sound. You have to develop your sound on the instrument. That is assuming that you're not reaching down and turning all the knobs on your amplifier. Let's just hope you're not doing that. I strongly urge beginners to set the amplifier flat, which is all the knobs at 0 or noon, or whatever that center detent is, or whatever that particular amplifier manufacturer considers their flat setting. And then they'll give you suggested settings for different types of sounds. Ignore them all. Okay, if you're a rock player and it says here's to suggest settings for rock, okay, fine, set it there. If you're a funk player, set it there, do whatever. But I strongly urge you to start with your amplifier set flat and develop from there. The reason I try to tell guys who play a little bit to stay away from active electronics, you know, basically it takes a battery with EQ on it, is, again, you tend to reach down and start turning knobs, and I personally don't feel that you develop your personal sound efficiently. Eventually you will get there, because as a beginner you don't know what you like, you don't know what's missing, and you don't know what's there when you have a lot of EQ and a lot of active electronics going on. What I'm saying is, to be clear, play what you think you need to play, and play the snot out of it, and love your instrument, and love what you got. You know, love what you play what you love. I'm not knocking other basses by manufacturers or anything. I'm not saying Fender's the best. Not what I'm saying at all. Your bass is a passive option, where you can turn the EQ off without setting it flat. And when you pull a knob up, you throw a switch and it turns that section off. I strongly encourage you to start there and play there most of the time. Or if you don't have that option, you have a bass with all these electronics in it, don't boost anything. Keep everything at the center where it's considered flat, or however that EQ is set up on that particular instrument. Again, I think it helps you develop your own playing. Develop your own sound, your own voice on the instrument. Then down the road, you can start experimenting with a little bit of EQ. And again, that's something that should be used judiciously and shouldn't be done in large doses. A little bit will go a very, very long way. So I encourage everybody to play and own a passive bass and play it a lot. Another thing too about when you're a beginner that I encourage, that it helps develop a sound and helps develop technique and helps get things down. Again, this is assuming you can play a little bit, and you can play a little bit. You're able to play some scales, maybe play some songs. You might even start jamming in a band with your buddies or doing whatever else. Something that I encourage, and you'll see me do on videos or whatnot all the time, is I'm playing through an amplifier, like right now. Great. But most of the time when I'm at home practicing, it's that's what I'm doing. I was kind of forced to do that because early on when I started playing, I was on the road a lot. I did some cool gigs, traveled, and I might be in a hotel where I don't have any access to my amplifier and I still want to practice. So I put on my headphones and do whatever else, and I just play not plugged in. Sitting in a bathroom, great place to practice. Not while you're going to the bathroom, just sitting on the edge of the tub playing, because it really echoes in there. Really a lot of noise. I encourage you to play your bass unplugged as much as you can. That lets you really hear what the instrument sounds like. And that also goes for when you buy an instrument. When you're out looking for an instrument to play, if it sounds good unplugged, it will sound, hopefully, and most of the time it does, as good plugged in. So whenever you're looking for an instrument, play the thing not plugged into an amplifier. And when you walk into a shop and you're checking out an instrument, you would play it, take it off the shelf, you play it for a second, the salesman comes up to you, he says, you know, he may or may not ask you what kind of amp you plug into. I've had this happen to me where I want to check out a bass at a random guitar shop. Guy will pull down a bass, I'll check it out for a hot second, he'll grab a cable and he'll plug me into some big old amplifier and say, okay, go ahead and start playing, and then he'll start adjusting the EQ. No. Don't do that. If you guys say, here, I'm plugging into an amplifier, find a decent quality, small, combo type amplifier, maybe with a 15 or a 12 or with a horn or whatever it is, relatively close to what you play through, I should say. And even if you don't, plug into a small combo amp of decent, halfway decent quality amplifier. The reason I say that, it gives you a better idea of what the bass sounds like without having this big, massive amplifier that the sound guy, or that the sales guy just plugged you into and is blasting in your face and everything sounds whatever. So, again, if it sounds good unplugged, it's going to sound good plugged in. That's pretty much just kind of how it goes. So, checking out a bass. You walk in a guitar shop, man, this thing sounds, sounds pretty good unplugged, and you plug it in, and you're like, man, it sounds good plugged in. So, again, practice unplugged. If you're checking out a new bass, don't plug it in. Sounds good unplugged, it's going to sound good plugged in. I have picked up basses in guitar shops, played them for a couple seconds. They don't sound good unplugged. I set them back down. I don't waste time plugging them in. That is probably accurate to 90% of the time for myself. Never feel weird about you walk into a guitar shop and pick up a bass and just feels messed up or whatever. Ask the sound guy to give it a quick, ask the sales guy to give it a quick setup. Say, hey man, I want to check this bass out. You kind of tweak the neck, give it a quick setup. Most of the time they will do it for you. And also remember, most of the time in guitar shops the strings are deader than hell on most basses. So keep those little things in mind when you're checking out a bass. Then after you played it for a few minutes and you got an idea of what it kind of sounds like unplugged, plug it in again to a smaller amplifier, nothing really big and massive, and run the amplifier where everything is set what they call flat, and go from there. So there you have it. A couple of just little beginner ideas thought I'd throw your way. Yeah, so and enjoy what you play. So you can start off with a 4-string, you can start off with a 5-string. Hell, you can even start off with a 6-string these days, but start off with something. The fact that you're out there playing is just awesome to begin with. So there you have it, just a couple ideas on beginner bass and some stuff that you should think about when you're really kind of getting out there buying maybe your second instrument after you've been playing for a little bit. All right, take care.